He should remember the fate that befell the dictator of Iran's neighboring country. Those were the chilling words from Israel's foreign minister, aimed directly at Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The message was clear. Keep going down this path, and you could end up just like Saddam Hussein, overthrown, dragged from a hole, and executed. It's a stunning threat, but is it realistic? Could Khamenei's Iran, a regime that has survived decades of intense pressure, really crumble like Saddam's Iraq? And to figure that out, we have to look past the fiery headlines. At first glance, the comparison seems to make sense. You've got two authoritarian leaders, both in long-running fights with the West. Both have been slammed with sanctions, accused of chasing dangerous weapons, and have ruled with an iron fist. But when you peel back the layers, you find two totally different regimes. Saddam's Iraq was a one-man show, a house of cards ready to fall. Iran, on the other hand, is a fortress, with defenses that are as deep as they are complex. Understanding these differences is the only way to know if Khamenei could ever truly face the same end as the Butcher of Baghdad. The first huge difference is how they structured power. Saddam Hussein's Iraq was a classic personalist dictatorship. Everything revolved around him. The Ba'ath Party, the army, the secret police, they were all just tools for Saddam. His sons, Uday and Qusay, were his brutal enforcers. Loyalty was to the man, not to an institution. This created a fatal weakness. Once the US-led invasion cut off the head of the snake in 2003, the entire body died. With Saddam on the run, the state collapsed almost overnight. Iran is a different beast entirely. It's an institutionalized dictatorship. Power isn't just in Khamenei's hands, spread across a web of powerful groups. You have the supreme leader, yes, but you also have the clerical establishment, the elected government, and critically, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, Khoraza, IRGC. This system was designed specifically to prevent a collapse, like Iraq's. If one part gets hit, the others can keep the whole thing running. The survival of the Islamic Republic doesn't depend on Khomeini alone. It depends on this entire architecture. That brings us to the guys with the guns. Saddam's army was surprisingly fragile. When a superior force rolled in, it simply melted away. Iran learned from that. It built a multi-layered defense system to protect the regime from threats, both foreign and domestic. You've got the regular army, the Artesh, handling the borders. But the real power, the regime's Praetorian Guard, is the IRGC. The IRGC isn't just a military force. It's a parallel state with its own army, navy, and intelligence services. Today, analysts believe the IRGC controls a huge chunk of Iran's economy, giving its commanders a massive financial incentive to keep the regime alive. This is all backed by a giant budget. The budget for the Persian year 1404, which started in March 2025, saw a massive increase in funding for military and security institutions. This insulates them from the economic pain regular Iranians feel and guarantees their loyalty. And below the IRGC, you have the Basij militia, a huge volunteer force acting as the regime's eyes and ears, ready to crush any protest. What you have is a security structure that is far deeper, more ideological, and better paid than anything Saddam ever had. Both regimes faced crippling international sanctions. Saddam's Iraq was hammered after the first Gulf War, which wrecked its economy. Iran has also been under severe sanctions for decades, causing public anger and economic pain. But here's the key difference. Iran's economy is more diverse than Iraq has ever was. More importantly, the regime has become an expert at dodging sanctions. It uses a shadow economy, selling oil off the books and using illicit trade to keep cash flowing directly to its security forces. The IRGC's own economic empire lets it operate almost independently of the official state budget. This ensures the regime's protectors always get paid, even while the general population struggles. This financial armor makes the regime far more resistant to economic pressure than Saddam's was. In his final years, Saddam Hussein was almost completely isolated. After invading Kuwait, he had no powerful friends left. He was a regional outcast, which made him an easy target for a US-led coalition. Iran, despite its conflicts with the West, isn't nearly as isolated. It leads the so-called Axis of Resistance, a network of powerful proxies across the Middle East, like Hezbollah in Lebanon and militias in Iraq and Syria. This gives Tehran regional influence that Saddam could only dream of. On top of that, Iran has built vital relationships with global powers like Russia and China. These countries provide an economic and diplomatic lifeline, making any international plan to overthrow the regime much more complicated. So, back to the big question, will Khamenei suffer the same fate as Saddam Hussein? A carbon copy of Saddam's fall, a foreign invasion, a capture in a hole, and an execution is extremely unlikely. The Iranian regime isn't built that way. Its institutional depth, its fiercely loyal and well-funded security forces, and its web of international allies make it a much tougher nut to crack. The regime has survived massive protests and crushing pressure for a reason. Its survival isn't tied to one man, but to a deeply entrenched system. The real danger to the Islamic Republic isn't just another protest. The true threat would be a crack in the regime's core. If the intense pressure ever managed to cut the financial pipelines that buy the IRGC's loyalty, the entire game could change. History shows that authoritarian regimes often fall when their own security forces turn on them. While the situation in Iran is tense, there's no sign of that kind of fracture yet. For now, the fortress is still standing. Comparing Khamenei to Saddam is a powerful threat, but the reality is far more complex. What's your take? Are the differences just too big? Or could enough pressure from the inside and out finally cause the system to break? Let me know your analysis in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the forces shaking up our world. Thanks for watching.